What fools we were. What fools, my dear.
You guys taught us, okay? Without your comments, we wouldn't be sitting here the fools that we are. So we know.
Yep.
Hello. She told me to do that.
No, I didn't.
My trademark hello, she says. First of all, this is posting on the 1-year anniversary of our channel.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to take a minute to make a special hello to all you guys who have made the channel what it is. We're learning an awful lot. We just wanted to thank you guys from the bottom of our hearts for watching us. You've made it a joy. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and it's going to continue to be fun. So.
Yeah, we hope you'll be along for the ride and hopefully have some fun with us. It's been great having the channel too, because it's gotten us out of the house, out of our routine. You know, before we had the channel, you kind of get stuck into your day-to-day living, and we have to stop and look around us where we're at in our new life here. Yeah. You know, before we started the channel, we didn't have any Dutch friends. We have Dutch friends now. So you were our touchstone to the culture. And so we're very grateful to you for being here with us on this journey. And you give us a deep dive in the comments, which gives us a much bigger perspective into things than just wandering around, figuring it out for ourselves. We're getting a lot more expert advice and information. Yeah. So this has been really useful to us. Hopefully the channel has been also of some use to you.
Yeah, we got ideas for future videos too, because there's been a lot of really good stuff in the comments from you guys. So thanks a lot for that.
So this is actually our second channel. We had a first channel was called The Odd We See, and it wasn't very bright on our end. We thought we found a niche. Weird travel, we like weird travel. Maybe it's a niche for a reason, because we never did get monetized with that channel. But we were here as immigrants. We were trying to find him a job, find a place to live, all of this, and trying to do a channel on travel when we really didn't have the time or the money to travel. So it kind of stalled the travel channel. But we did get to see, you know, some really interesting things around the country that were unique. We want to hopefully include more unique sites in the Netherlands in future videos as well. But so this is the silly walks in Eindhoven.
This silly walk.
Mark gave it his all.
Yeah, I could do a little more lifting of the leg back then. There's a lot of crunching that goes on now when I do it.
Yeah, so that
How long
was
ago was that? That was a year ago, right? Was it a little
that was more than a year ago. That was almost I think it was like a year and a half ago. Yeah.
I was exhausted at the end of that silly walk.
It's a long tunnel.
It's a long
It's
tunnel.
a pretty long tunnel. Yeah. You think it's a tunnel. It's going to be a few steps.
But you watch.
It's impressive.
You watch it done. John Cleese.
John Cleese.
Right?
Yeah.
You watch him do it, and it's no way. First of all, I'm half his height, so I couldn't lift my leg nearly as high as he could lift his leg higher than I am tall.
Well, he was probably like 28 at the time too.
Yes,
so.
true.
But yeah, so we did get to see a lot of great sites. We went to a prison youth hostel. We like hostels, and we went to a prison youth hostel that I got to go to again when I did the Koningsdag video without Mark, unfortunately. Sans Mark, but he had to work the next morning, and he also had his own bit of fun. If you check out the video, you'll see what he was up to that weekend. But it was funny because the evolution of us, the first video we made for The Odd We See, we never spoke on camera. We were both so nervous about just being ourselves in front of the camera that we ended up saying nothing at all, and it's a silent montage.
Yeah, and it took us quite a while to get comfortable just talking to you guys. It's a weird thing. I spent many years as an actor in New York. I thought it would be ezy. You know, I'm in front of the camera, you know, I know, no problem. Wrong. It's different because you're kind of winging it. You're having a conversation. But it's been an evolution over a period of time of being able to get comfortable.
So we still have some growing to do, of course, and always trying to do better with each video that we do.
Yeah.
How we started the Dutch Life Diaries was our son-in-law, who's Dutch, recommended to us when the other channel stalled. He said, well, why don't you do a channel on the Netherlands and living in the Netherlands? And we thought, oh, who would watch that? I mean, we knew that we watched those before we moved here. So, and we're immigrants, and so we thought, well, maybe immigrants and expats would watch. So we didn't know if we had enough material for a channel, so I made a list of all possible video topics, which to me was so dry, and I didn't want to do it. We came up with a year's worth, so we thought we'd give it a go. But they were things like, you know, how to open a bank account over here, what apps you need on your phone as an expat or immigrant. Really dry stuff I didn't want to do.
We were trying to figure it out. It's like, is this going to actually work for us? But it did. It actually did. It worked.
Because of you guys.
Very well, because of you guys. And not in the way that we intended. It just was, it exploded.
Yeah, and it was strange because instead of the, well, we'll watch our first video here. So the very first video we put out, because we thought we were going to be dealing with expats and immigrants, was on the DAFT visa, which isn't on the channel anymore. But that was our first video. So this is...
Number 4, make a residence sticker appointment. They review your documents and they give you a temporary residency sticker.
Very, very dry.
Yeah.
Very dry. And we were like thinking of like JP and Amelia who moved to, I think it was Nicaragua, and they did a bunch of videos on that. So it was like, okay, well, we'll be, you know, just talking people through steps of, you know, getting yourself orientated in another country. But it was so dry.
Yeah.
I got sleepy editing it.
Yeah, it's not like people wouldn't watch it. People who are needing a DAFT visa or are looking for ways to get a visa would watch it. And that number is like very low.
Yeah, yeah, it is very low. And also, we found out within the first few videos that our audience was actually predominantly Dutch, which surprised us.
Yeah.
Our son-in-law was onto something, but that also changed what kind of videos we could do. And I got really excited because, you know, I'm an archaeologist, so I'm into history and culture and the nuances. And now we could do videos on, you know, these folk festivals or on, you know, some of the language idioms and so forth that we were impressed with, surprised by, whatever. Now it included things that we were still working our way through as immigrants and still excited about. And yeah, we got really excited then about the possibilities.
Yeah, because it really became the channel about discovery for us. As we discover the country, there were a whole boatload of people who were also discovering their own country with us, but also there to correct our mistakes. Mm-hmm. So when we came up with, you know, information that may be outdated or may be totally incorrect or was on the money, you'd call us on all three. So it was great because then we learned something from you guys and vice versa. So it became this community of learning. And I guess that's kind of the niche. If you want to put that into a niche, that's what it's become. It is just so much fun to be able to, now we continue to go different places. And what are we going to learn here? I don't know. If whatever we don't learn, you guys are going to teach us. So,
yeah, and we do research.
Yeah.
But you don't know what you don't know. And sometimes when you do research, it's not the full picture. And we get more of the full picture through the comments. So just because somebody's uploading a video on YouTube doesn't make them an expert on it. And the community is such that one of our Patreon patrons mentioned that they love the comments. We've had several people say they read through all the comments because they learned so much with the two together, the video and the comments combined. But also, you know, the nuances, like everyone's experience is very different. Yeah. We'll say something that is very true to our experience living here, and someone else will say, well, that was never my experience. And also the differences between the eastern part of the country, the northern part of the country, like Groningen and Friesland, and then when you go below the rivers, it's a totally different world there too. And then you got rural and urban, like everywhere. There's a diversity of people, diversity of experiences and lifestyles. And we're learning these differences when we read the comments.
It becomes fun for us to watch people kind of debating with each other too. So,
when we did our Dutch sandwich video, we had one person say, I'm Dutch and I have never ever seen cheese and apple strop together. And 3 other people said, oh, there's nothing more Dutch than cheese and apple strop. So, you just don't know. So we have our most popular video of the year and our least popular video of the year. What do you think? He doesn't know. So what do you think is the most popular?
The most popular.
The one that had the most views.
Yeah, that was the habits video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The 5 habits.
We ditched.
We ditched after moving to the Netherlands.
And here it's not, that doesn't really exist. It's more like just if you're in a crowd of people, or if you're at a party or a gathering with friends, it's that feeling of warmth and coziness, and it's just being able
taking it in.
Yeah, taking it in, relaxing.
Yeah. So that one was the one that went viral for us, which
That was the
surprised
first
us.
one, wasn't it?
It was the first one that really went viral,
Yeah.
and it also was the most divisive. YouTube will hold comments that go against their community guidelines, and that hold section we'll usually see 1 or 2. It was like a couple hundred comments, most of which were, well, it was in the hold section, so you can imagine for yourself how bad it was. But it was also very divisive with American viewers. That one, we got a lot of American viewers.
Yeah, it really kind of stirred the pot up of a lot of emotions in people, and we didn't intend to do that. But
We didn't intend it at all.
You know, it was just basically telling people, since we've come here, these are the habits we ditched that basically have made our lives better. That was the theme of it.
Yeah.
And so that's a positive theme.
Yeah.
It wasn't taken that way by a lot of people, unfortunately.
Yeah, you can't really say something that the U.S. doesn't do better than someone else without somebody taking issue with that, even if you're not saying it in a nasty way.
Yeah.
Other people, knowing that we had come here from New York, assumed we were talking strictly about New York, but actually most of the habits and experiences I was talking about were my experience in Wyoming. But if you talk to people from Wyoming, they're also split on what kind of experiences they have there. So, it's just like the Netherlands. And we even say in the video that no one's a monolith, that we're all individuals, but still people took umbrage. I will say a lot of our viewers were absolutely right rewatching that clip that the music bed on it is horrific.
Oh.
You know why we put the music bed on?
I can't even remember the music, to tell you the truth.
Oh, well, I was doing a music bed, and I was doing some retentive editing where it kind of goes in, out, on focusing on us, because we were really worried that people would not be interested in listening to us for very long. And so I was doing ways to keep it interesting and lively. Hey, so you didn't get bored with us. Yeah, and it's strange. The Culture Shock Talk videos are our most successful videos, and yet we love traveling and checking out the country, checking out events and stuff, and shooting, what it's like when you look around these beautiful cities here and the countryside. So for us, the fact that we get more people watching us sitting on our sofa is very bizarre to me.
Yeah, still.
Don't you want to go outdoors? That kind of thing. So yeah, just the fact that we didn't need the music bed was a revelation to us. So do you know what the least popular video is?
I don't, the toilet video. We did a video on.
No, you wanted it to be the least popular.
No, I didn't want it. I just thought it would. I mean, who's going to watch a video on toilets?
He
That's
did
what I
not
thought.
want to do that video at all.
No.
He was like, nobody's going to watch this, and it's actually done quite well.
Really done
well. It has
well.
over 100. I think it's like 130,000 views.
Who'da thunk it?
Who'da thunk it?
Yeah.
But no, the one was the sand art, the sand sculpture festival.
Yeah,
in,
I loved
Scheveningen.
going there. I loved Scheveningen is one of my favorite places to go. I love it.
That is a nice beach.
Yeah.
And that was. Let's take a look at.
Oh, I remember this. It was freezing. Oh, that's right. It was June. Got frostbite.
And you know what's really impressive? He's saving kids' lives while wearing a tie. And his tie doesn't even look wet.
Yeah, that was.
So yeah, that was June.
That was at the end too. That wasn't it going to be torn down after that weekend. I think they were going to take everything down.
Yeah.
And there were chunks of sand already taken out of the art. So we caught it just as it was. They were about to tear it down.
Well, the chunks out of the sand was because we got really strong Arctic storm last June, and it was blowing the gales were blowing chunks of the sand off, and they use an adhesive in the sand too, so they're pretty strong and solid. They spend, I think, 5 or 6 weeks building them for just the one weekend, but the wind was really something. Mark dressed inappropriately for the weather.
I had shorts on.
You had shorts on and a t-shirt.
It was
freezing.
wishful thinking. It was just basically, it's going to be fine. It's June. Don't look at the month ever and just basically say that it's going to be fine, even though it's June. It had to be what? How many degrees?
It was under 10 degrees. I think it was like 7 degrees.
It was crazy. It was crazy.
And also, we had a weather like that this month that we're in now here. And I guess the farmers in the Netherlands call it the ice maidens or something like that. I guess once in a while they do get in May and June, they get a really...
Frost?
They get, really cold blast. And I guess there's some crops they wait till after that to plant. But I don't know. That's what I heard. But that was also a memorable video because it was the most perfect martini we've had.
Oh, yeah.
In the Netherlands.
There's a little hotel right there on the beach in Scheveningen. It's a hotel that was built in the 1800s, right?
Yeah.
And in there is a nice little bar, and we had a perfect martini.
Yeah.
Which we didn't think they served here in the Netherlands, but they did, and they served it there.
Because when they talk about martinis here, it's usually like sweet vermouth on ice or something like that.
Nice little
martini
lemon
and roasty
twist in it. I remember that.
Right, but we wanted like the British martinis, which is gin with just a splash of dry vermouth and a twist. And you stir it in ice. Don't shake it. It can break the gin. Yeah. But it's good. We like it, and it's hard to find here. We have to sometimes explain it. One of our favorite videos was perhaps the hardest for us to put together was the Efteling video.
Oh yeah, I love that. That was so much fun.
We love Efteling so much. We've only been there twice, and that day though, at that time we had mics that were not connected to our camera, so we had between us 20 hours of audio, which had to be manually added to each clip, and we had something like 350 clips of video. It took a long time to put that thing together. I didn't even know if it would ever work.
It was we did a different style, different material in the Efteling video than material that we've seen. We've watched a lot of Efteling videos before.
Yeah, most of them are focused on the rides, or the food, and
we focused on
atmosphere more.
The atmosphere and the fairy tale aspect of it, I guess. There was more for children, and people seem to really take to that, and they would say, wow, you guys are really, this is different. You're capturing the flavor of it, and when I was a kid, that's exactly what I loved about it. And we just, appreciated it for its own merits, but we happened to touch upon specifics that people really liked, and that made it very, very popular.
Yeah, so that is our favorite video, but, not because of the work we did, because I always find editing mistakes and go, God, why did I do that? And that one is full of them. But it's our favorite video because of the subject matter. But we'll watch a clip now and see if Mark can pick out what's wrong in it.
Don't go.
The artistic vision behind it all is Anton Pieck, whose nostalgic storybook aesthetic defines the entire park.
Perfect. Didn't see anything.
You didn't see a mistake?
No, didn't see it.
Anton Pieck is the original designer.
Oh, that's right.
But
yes,
the Anton Pieck section of the park is the fairy tale forest, but it's also the old-fashioned carnival area that's got the fountain, and it has the merry-go-round and more of the old arcade games from the 19th century, early 20th century. So he was hearkening back to his childhood. That land there was designed by Toon van der Ven.
Oh, that's right.
And that's the lock, the people of the lock.
I remember her being so upset when she realized she made that mistake. And once it was posted, so you can't do anything about it once that happens.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the Volk van Laaf, the people of Laaf, which he even created a Laafin language. So Toon van der Ven made, this incredible land that's in there, and we miscredited him. But that video is also something because we got accused by Disney adults of it being clickbait. Because the title was Better Than Disneyland. And then we talk in the video about all the ways that we prefer it to Disney, to Disneyland. And, this is just our opinion. You can love Disney more. Disney is a great park too. But it was funny because they were calling it clickbait, and I'm like, it's not clickbait because we actually talk about why we prefer it in the video. That's not what clickbait means. Just having an opinion that's different than yours is not clickbait.
It was predominantly the fact that it was more focused on the patron and them having a good time for a much more inexpensive rate all around for food, for experience, than in Disney, which is, in our opinion, always so overcrowded, always overpriced, and you're lucky if you get to your attractions because
Yeah, and
it's just too crowded. So that was where we were coming from, but we weren't slamming Disney. And people came down on us for that.
Yeah, and Disney, you have a feeling of it being overly commercialized. And when you walk through Efteling, which is much larger as a park, as a functioning park, it feels like you're walking in a fairy tale forest.
Yeah.
It's much more immersive to us.
Yeah.
But I was actually kind of raised at Disneyland. The first 5 years of my life, we lived in Orange County, and my mother loved Disneyland. My father was a sheriff's deputy for Orange County, so we all got in for free back then at Disney. And we went every Sunday. So I spent years at Disneyland.
Yeah.
So I felt like I was, I had the experience to give my opinion, but you don't cross a Disney adult.
No.
So
But the landscaping at Efteling is just outstanding. And we've been there how many times? 2, 3?
yeah.
And we haven't seen the whole place yet. You've got to give yourself a couple of days to be able to do it, and we just haven't had that time. But,
And one thing that the audience informed us of is that Efteling is run by a foundation. It's a nonprofit. And you feel the difference, And Walt Disney used to, his motto was he wanted Disneyland to be affordable to all families. Mm-hmm. And he also made a lot of efforts for it to be accessible to people of low income. That's not the case anymore. Disney's a monster. So Efteling is still holding strong to its foundational basis. So,
yep, and we're going again this year.
Yes, we got the Albert Heijn discount tickets.
Yeah, thank you, Albert Heijn.
Yes, thank you, Albert Heijn. God, I wish we could afford a season pass one day.
I know, one day.
One day. Oh, and one thing I did too much of in that video was souvenirs.
Oh,
That was so long. Ruined the pacing. But And now we're just going to go over 3 videos just to cover some of the mistakes that we made.
that she made. I don't make mistakes.
Oh, yeah. Here's our first video. Coronation chicken in Britain, but the British coronation chicken, I think, has raisins in it. And that was made for Queen Elizabeth II's coronation. Kip Curry.
Yeah, but as I watch that, I know what we did wrong. Because we've become Dutchified. That was way too much.
Way too much.
Way too much stuff. Now it's amazing. I look at it and I actually recoiled when I saw all that stuff on the bread. Over here, when you have sandwiches, there's much less, and you don't need as much.
Yeah. And the irony is, when we were doing that, I thought I was putting half of the regular portion on there because, we're just doing a taste.
Yeah.
So just one piece of bread and just half of the topping. At that time, we would have put double on there.
I was conditioned, when we lived in New York in particular, to have the more stuff, the better. So the more, I would have this much of chicken salad and then the bread. So that's kind of wrong, really.
Yeah.
You think about the idea of what a sandwich is supposed to be. So we've learned over a period of time, you're going to save calories, you're going to save money, and it's much more appetizing, really, instead of trying to stuff a gigantic sandwich in your face. So,
the rule of thumb, I worked at a sandwich shop once, and the rule of thumb was, if your bread is this thick, the topping has to be double.
Yeah.
So the topping has to be double the thickness of one slice of the bread. And so that's what we were going on before. Now it's like, no. Plus, we were using a lot of the mayo-based salads, which are not typically broaches. They're not sandwiches here. They're used more with like crackers and so forth for parties, barbecues, for like the birthday circle, where everyone sits in a circle and they have like different salads and congestibles.
Yeah.
A lot of our viewers also said that you put a smear of butter on before you put anything else on a sandwich.
For any sandwich?
We didn't do. Yeah, pretty much.
Really?
Yeah, and so we didn't do that. We also were using what the Dutch call baking butter. Mm-hmm. To us, it's sticks of butter was the real butter.
Oh,
it wasn't mixed with Dutch oil or anything. Okay, so the stuff that you use in a big block, that's not what you should be using for... Right, that's baking butter here.
Okay.
Yeah, in the U.S., that's just real butter, as opposed to the tubs, which have a lot of preservatives. They're not true butter. Here, you can get true butter in a tub.
Right.
Okay, here's the next video. I'm regretting all the decisions I made. This is a lot of sugar.
Sugar coma after this.
So, do you know what we did wrong in the Dutch treats video? Dutch sweets?
I don't know. I really don't know. That was a while ago.
I was. We called them Dutch desserts throughout the video. What's a dessert in the U.S.?
Just examples of desserts.
I'm not. Like, what is a dessert?
It's something sweet.
Yeah, it's just something sweet. So it doesn't matter if you eat it, as a snack, if you have it with your coffee, if you have it when someone comes to your house, or if you have it after a meal. Dessert is just sort of a generic term.
Yeah, a treat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here it's not. So here, a dessert is specifically after a meal.
Oh, okay.
And these items that we were eating cannot be lumped together because some of them are for coffee, some of them are for after a meal, some are with drinks.
Okay.
Some are, so it's like we didn't realize there were these dividing.
Staples.
Yeah.
There's staples for after meals and for when guests come over or for coffee.
Right.
Afternoon
So
coffee.
there's very specific cultural signaling for each of these items that we didn't know. And we also were calling them desserts when they're not all desserts to here. So like some of those things you would never have after dinner and call it a dessert. Traditionally.
Okay.
I mean, here you can do whatever you want. They're not, when we talk about etiquette or unwritten rules or cultural norms, you can always do whatever you want.
Well, some of them are the same. Apple pie. That's seems to be a dessert, right? After meal?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Or with coffee.
Or with coffee. Okay, so...
See?
Okay.
It's getting tricky.
It is getting tricky.
Yeah. Well, it's also funny how many people told us advocaat is mainly consumed by women of a certain age. And I was like, well, that's not true because I love advocaat. Wait, I am a woman of a certain age. So I guess I'm the advocaat crowd, which I'm fine with because, hey, we're having a good time eating our advocaat, let me tell you. All right. Now we're going to head on to the next biggie.
Ooh, I remember this. Still in my room?
Yeah.
Still in my man cave.
First time creating a
Dear
surprise.
Sinterklaas, I have been very, very good this year. And I was.
He was. He was a very good boy. But there were a few things we did very, very wrong. That was actually our third Sinterklaas here.
Yes.
But our first one actually celebrating it. And really, we didn't realize till we started researching for the video how huge it was, how much is involved in it. We thought it was just the arrival of Sinterklaas and you put your shoes out. And also, like, several people commented on the Sinterklaas Journaal. The National Sinterklaas Journaal is not available on YouTube in the aspect ratio we needed for the video. They only do shorts. So we had to use a regional one for that. But there's a national channel that's huge. It's a big deal. And it has a former contestant from Vias de Mol as the presenter. Yeah. But one of the big mistakes is glaringly obvious now to us when we're watching Mark write that letter. Well, number one, we heard from a lot of people they don't write letters to Sinterklaas here.
Yeah.
I thought they did and rolled it up and stuck it in their shoe.
I thought I would start a trend, basically.
He just wants the water shooter.
Yeah.
But he was wearing a Christmas sweater and we had the Christmas tree up in the background.
Yes.
Yeah. You're not supposed to, you have Sinterklaas and he leaves and then it's Christmas time.
Most of you guys were nice about it, but we got a lot of comments about that.
We had no idea. We thought it was all part of Christmas season.
Yeah.
We didn't realize that there's a very definite distinction between the two holidays, and and rightly so because they're celebrating very different things. We just thought, hey, it's the holiday season. We'll make it festive. Put the tree up.
Mistake.
Yeah. Yep. So we're not doing that again this year.
No. We're going to be very specific with Sinterklaas this year.
Yeah, when Sinterklaas leaves, then our tree will go up and the Christmas sweaters will go out. Also, some of the treats, we did not get all of the treats that were more traditional. Like we didn't have any paper noten. I don't know how I missed the paper noten.
I remember.
I mean, I eat that even, it was in the fall. How in the heck? And we had a bag of it in the cupboard.
She was very upset.
And we had a banket stuff in the fridge that I forgot to take out.
Yeah.
And if you watch the video, we have chocolate letters behind us. And we forgot to try. So we had things to try that we didn't put out to try for the video. So
but we're going to get it right this year.
Yes.
100%. Promise.
ah. And then we'll look back one day and be like, remember that one year we put our Christmas tree up and forgot the paper note in? Oh, what fools we were. What fools, my dear.
You guys taught us, okay? Without your comments, we wouldn't be sitting here the fools that we are. So we know.
Yep. So one of the other distinctions we learned that's very specifically Dutch is almond paste and marzipan.
Yeah.
So in Germany, Canada, and the U.S., marzipan is a generic term for anything that's an almond paste-based item. But here, almond paste is made with one type of sugar. Editing River will put which one below here. And then marzipan is made with a different type of sugar.
Okay.
So the distinction to the Dutch is very real. You don't just say almond paste generically, and you don't just say marzipan generically. They're two distinct creatures.
And we've been told that you guys can really tell the difference. So that's impressive, because I can't.
Yeah, it's just trained taste buds.
Yeah.
They train on it all their lives.
Yeah.
So, yep. So, yeah, we made that mistake too. And also the hyperbolic title of the video. It blew our minds. That's so American.
No. Did you really put that up there?
Yeah.
Blew our minds? Okay.
This is something like this Dutch
can't
tradition.
remember.
This Dutch holiday blew our minds.
Yeah, it's, yeah, I mean.
American. And then two big ones. It's Deventer, not Deventer. And there is no such place as Ankhorn, which I combined horn and Enkhausen and made Ankhorn.
Yep.
So my apologies to people in those three cities.
It's Deventer. You're sure?
Deventer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't tell me I got it wrong again.
I don't know. Let us know for sure.
Because we said Deventer.
We've had people different ways,
yeah.
but I really want to know how to say it, because we're going there again. Deventer. Okay, that's the way I'm going with that.
Yeah, we're going to be at the Dickens Festival again
Yeah.
this year, and we can't wait.
We couldn't recommend it more to you guys, so
Yeah.
if you can get there, get there.
So this year we made 41 videos in total.
41.
Well, our aim was 52, at least, one a week. But yeah,
We had a rough stretch.
We had a rough stretch. I was pretty sick, and we missed quite a few uploads, unfortunately. But we're aiming for 52 this year.
Yeah. We're going to make it.
Come hell or high water. So, but still 41. And I still find editing mistakes.
It's okay.
So this coming year, we hope to be able to go further afield. We've wanted to spend time in Groningen and the Wadden Islands.
Yep.
We want to go more east in the country. There's several folk festivals there that we also want to catch some of the traditions that are carrying on. We want to go south of the river and see what differences there are from the Randstad. Try to enlighten ourselves and really appreciate the country in full. And we also started a Patreon to help us on this path. And if you wish to support the channel further, we also can get a little more personal over there. We don't have 485,000 people watching.
And we have a lot of the places we're going to be going have been suggested by you folks. So it's a growing list of places that we want to go. And the sponsorships and the Patreon hopefully will help us go there and be able to provide a lot of really nice content. So
yeah, because so far, we haven't been able to financially go further afield to spend the night, that kind of thing. We did that, I think, once for.
We also have
Australia.
2 cats, so we have to take them into consideration too. So.
Yeah, and but you will always get the free videos once a week here on YouTube. We will always post on the community post. Always read your comments. We read all of them, even if we're not able to get reply to everybody. So that will always continue. Patreon is extra. That's all it is just extra content. We do virtual Boral over there, question and answers.
Yeah, and we're coming up with
little
ideas,
vlogs.
Patreon content all the time too. So a lot of it is behind the scenes stuff, very informal with us, and where we come up with ideas all the time. So it's a lot of fun to do that.
But we really do appreciate the 1 year excitement and learning that you've given us. This has been terrific, being able to really indulge in the Dutch culture and get a new appreciation and awareness of it.
Yeah, we got a lot of momentum going now, and we're really, really grateful to you guys for that. We'll see you guys soon. Tot ziens.